What it do, everyone? Got a day late dollar short recap here for the Godforge gear and weapons video. I don't have a cam right now, so went with this old school slideshow instead of a full-blown reaction video where you wouldn't be able to see any reaction. Just to lay some stuff out, plan on covering Godforge on this channel. Might do some filler variety stuff since the beta isn't until May and the full game release is later this year, but we'll roll with it, see what happens. I know I need to get rolling, but just wanted to comment on the name real quick. Day late, dollar short. I think for the time being I'll only be able to get up weekly uploads. Won't necessarily be the most timely info, but that's why I figured the name was fitting. And we'll see how it goes, move on from there. Getting into the good stuff, the first thing they talked about is the battle UI. On this screen there's some familiar stuff if you play games like this, but also some nice new touches. One of the familiar things, if I can make a mess real quick, you have the arrows indicating your strength or weakness against the enemies. You can see their buffs, debuffs. You can see your hero's skills. You can see your team's status. Wow, that's extra bad. You can see the flame on this hero indicates that the ultimate is ready. One of the cool things is anytime it's your team's turn, your hero with an ultimate ready can go. So there should be a lot of cool strategies showing from that. Also, one of the nice new features, they have the turn order on the side over here, and you can kind of see the little red shading for the enemies, but it's nice, clean, easy way to see the turn order. Let me get rid of my mess real quick. Alright, cleaned up that mess, but we're just going to keep on making more. One of the other interesting things I think is the divinity bar here. You can see how close the enemies are to getting their ults. I think that'll bring some interesting strategy. You can see how close they are in case you want to try and rush your ult to pop it before they pop theirs. Or maybe if there's turn meter manipulation, might be better to go after somebody with a full divinity, even if they have low turn meter, than somebody with full turn meter that you would normally try and manipulate. I just think there's some new varieties that'll pop into the game. Getting back to some of the familiar stuff, you have your battle speed, your auto or manual button, and just your standard pause menu. But one of the things I'm excited about is this little drop down arrow right here. You can see it pops down this new menu. Let me get this out of the way real quick. Okay, you can see there's the standard battle info button here. Usually just gives you a detailed look at the champions. Lets you better see the buffs and debuffs on them. Can be pretty helpful. But what I'm really excited about is this button right here. Pops out this box. Lets you see your champion's damage, healing, and shielding during the battle without having to wait till the end to see what kind of numbers they're putting up. I think it's going to be a game changer for testing comps. It's going to be great not having to wait till the end of the battle to see who's doing what. You can swap healers around, see who's doing the most healing. Just go through a few turns instead of having to fight out a whole battle if it's a long drawn out battle. And same thing, everyone's always worried about damage throughput. Real quick and easy way to see who's doing the most damage. Also, what's real interesting is your hide UI button here. With this great cinematic over the shoulder view, I'm warming up to it a lot. It'll be real cool when you're auto battling. This will totally hide the UI. I didn't snap a screenshot of it, but it's a great view of the fight, and if you're auto battling, who cares about the UI? Just enjoy the view while your champions are doing what they do. Alright, let's get that out of the way again. Just wanted to touch on skills quickly. It was kind of mentioned in passing, but it was labeled as basic, core, and passives. And I feel like champions won't only have 2 usable abilities, so I'm thinking the passives aren't passives like we're used to. I'm thinking maybe the passives are skills that go on cooldown. He did mention that there's going to be settings, so you can prioritize the skills and save ones that are on cooldown for when you want to use them. So I think there's going to be more than just the core ability on cooldown. After the battle UI, they got into the gear and weapons. As you can see, there is, let me pop this up again, it's a little easier. see there's 1 slot for weapon, 6 slots for gear, and I think the gear is similar to the variable sets in Raid. I don't think there's hard 2 and 4 sets. I think you get bonuses at 2, 4, and if you run a full 6 set. But we'll see more on that when we have more info on the gear. He did mention that flawless was the quality of the gear. I'm assuming it's all just placeholders, but he showed another screenshot where you can see all 3 say flawless, even though they're clearly gold, purple, blue. I'm assuming that's just something with the placeholders, and they'll all have different levels and not all be flawless in the beta or real launch. Getting back to this, wanted to mention the filters. Simon didn't really get into it, but he did mention that you can sort by missing stats. So to use Raid as another example, if you wanted to search your speed gear for everything that doesn't have speed so you can quickly sell it, that filter will be available in this game. I know it's kind of more common in games now, but it's still nice to have and something we're missing if you're a Raid player, so thought I'd mention it. And the other thing I wanted to mention before moving on is it looks like there's spots to sell gear everywhere. The icon here matches the sell button there. I can't remember if it was one of the podcasts or just a different video, but they did mention that they wanted to make it easy to sell gear wherever you are, so it's easier to maintain your inventory. As you can see, it carries over to this slide. You got the sell icon here and here, assuming they are all sell icons. Lots of places to sell your gear. This is the rolling enhancing page. One of the things I forgot to mention is that equipping and removing gear is free, but there is a cost to enhance it, and I think it follows the standard every 4 levels you gain a stat boost. You can kind of see a little bit of blue differentiating from the white, and then your main stat will go up with each level. Sorry, kind of drew a line through it again. But yeah, that's gear enhancing. Sorry if there's a little awkward cut there, realized I've missed a couple things. This is what I was talking about with the possible variable sets. You can see there's a 2 for 6 bonus, a 4 for 6 bonus. Not sure if there's a 6 for 6 bonus, maybe it is only a 4-piece set, but it's still pretty cool that you get a bonus on the way at 2 and your 4 bonus. Another thing I missed was attunement. They didn't give a lot of details on it, but it is more of an endgame thing. Like I said, gear removal and equipping is free, but attunement does have a gold cost and kind of locks a piece of gear to a hero. So you really want to be sure that you're setting up for success so you're not wasting your resources ripping it off and putting it on different champions. Got the Forge of Wayland here, not a whole lot going on this screen, but I thought it was a cool screen to grab, and also wanted to touch on the materials. There could just be placeholder, but if it's like most games, you want the better materials because you're going to have better odds to forge good gear. I'm not sure about the collection and the index. They both have the same icon, but maybe those are also placeholder, and one will be for your weapons and one will be for champions or gear. More to come on that. Weapon refinement is real similar to the gear screen. You can refine your weapon, which is just leveling it up. You can imprint, which is more of an endgame. We'll get into that in a second. And you can deconstruct, which is basically just breaking down bad or old gear so you can get more materials to refine your weapons that you want. It looks like this one's going from 23 to 24, which is a way higher level than the 16 cap on gear. I'm not sure if I'm just not seeing it right, but that doesn't look quite halfway, and it's level 24. But these are 48, so maybe 48's the max level. I know a lot of games champions max out at 60, so maybe weapons can go all the way up to 60. We'll have to wait and see what they come out with. Not a lot to get into on weapon imprinting. One thing I skipped about weapons is they have a basic passive, and you can see it carries over the same when you imprint. Imprinting just gives you a second passive. And imprinting, you are imprinting a champion onto the weapon, so you will be sacrificing that champion. Makes it sound like an endgame dupe situation, but Simon did mention that rares are able to be imprinted. It opens a lot of doors. With rares are going to be easier to get, and maybe you're just progressed further than rares in a certain area, so you just have extras that you can get away with sacrificing and get some cool new abilities on your weapons. They're talking about hundreds of champs, so we'll have to see how many different abilities there are. There could be some pretty cool combinations out there. One last thing is, weapons can also be attuned, but there is a faction component to that. So you can equip Excalibur onto any champion in any faction, but if you want to attune it, you have to attune it to somebody in the Avalon faction. And that's all I got for this one. Want to say thanks for watching. Hopefully not too cringy of a first video. I know there was some awkward cuts in there. No, it wasn't that much with just the slides, but gonna keep working on it. Gonna start hustling likes and subs already, so if you feel inclined to do either, would be great. And yeah, that's all I got. Have a good one. Had to add on that the original video will be linked in the description, as well as the Fateless channel and the Fateless website, so go ahead and check all that good stuff out. Laters.